Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
All right, hour two, live in Chicago, it's the Herd. Big weekend. I think it's going to be an upset weekend in college football. Upset weekend in college football. It's the Herd. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Rachel Nichols in 15 minutes. What a wild, wacky world we live in. I do think the NBA is going to be fine. People will still watch it. I think incidents like the Damon Jones, Chauncey Billups stuff is there are rogue Tim Donaghy, 1970s Boston College, Henry Hill, Richie the Fixer Perry. You can't. I mean, this is not analogous, but it's like not everything is a large group of people. Sometimes they always talk about this in security, the lone gunman, the lone wolf who is disconnected. He's a loner. FBI can't predict that stuff. CIA can't predict that stuff. That's what you always worry about security for government officials, CEOs. It's a rando. It's a lone wolf who's kind of a loner and not connected. So this idea that everything is this big honeycomb, it's this big net all connected, I just don't believe that to be true. I mean, I've been betting on sports forever. I can bet $10 anytime, and that's it. But I can also have a glass of champagne celebrating something, and that's it. Because it gives me a headache after one. So I don't think this is a big net of NBA players, mob, gambling, athletes, bad judgment. Been around since the Romans and the chariot races, and it's going to continue. Well, I've had a couple of good weeks. I've been on a heater. 4-1 last week, 4-1 this week. I do not like taking favorites, and I do not like the lines this week at all. Here's our Blazin' 5.
Bears at Ravens.
My favorite pick, Ravens. Lamar is back, -6. Lamar returns. Ravens average 33 a game and 6.5 yards per play in the 4 games this year with Lamar Jackson, and it's a must-win game. Total urgency for the franchise. Lamar has eaten the NFC for lunch, 24-3 in his career, even better at home. The Bears on the road, defense isn't as good. Caleb Williams, by the way, last 3 games, completion percentage has dipped to 58.7%, and right now, the Bears defense can make splash plays and takeaways, but it's allowing 6.2 yards per play against Lamar. Lamar Jackson's going to eat. Favorite pick of the weekend, Ravens -6. They win 28-21, and it won't feel that close.
Browns at Patriots.
Another big favorite. I like New England at home -7. Why? Because 4 straight wins, and they're averaging 30 a game during those wins, and their defense is great against the run. Meaning Dylan Gabriel will have to pass to beat Drake May and the Patriots in Vrabel. I don't see it happening. Cleveland's defense, not as good on the road. In fact, the Browns are 0-3 on the road, and they have the 28th ranked rush offense. So Dylan Gabriel is going to have to be really good to keep up and beat Drake May, who has been outstanding since week 2. I don't think it's happening. I like the Patriots to win by 10, 28-17. That's 11.
Dolphins at Falcons.
I like the over 44.5 points. I've been hot on overs. Falcons are averaging 26 a game, and Michael Penix at home has a 103 passer rating. But they also have a terrible red zone defense. So if Miami threatens, Miami should do well and eat in the red zone. But I like Atlanta at home to score points. J-Mac talked about this. Fast track, they're very good. The Dolphins' opponents have combined, Dolphins and their opponents have combined for 45-plus points in 5 of the last 6 games, and the over-under here is 45.5. Their defense allows big plays. And Atlanta at home delivers big plays. So the Dolphins defense, not good. Atlanta's offense at home, very good. Take the over 44.5 points, 28-21, 30-24, my bad. Falcons win.
49ers at Texans.
This is a late ad. There are concerns about the Texans' health at wide receiver. But this offense for the Texans, it's the number 3 scoring offense since week 4. And their defense has been great all season. Sam Darnold in Seattle at home last week really struggled with this defense. So their defense is especially good at clamping down on running backs and their receiving yards. And the Niners right now are living off McCaffrey running and McCaffrey receiving. And the Niners are 3-7 after a win the last 2 seasons. So the Texans defense is great. The Niners are still beat up. I think it's a choppy game. I'm going to take the Texans 27-23.
Cowboys and Broncos.
Finally, Denver -3 at home. I like it. Take the Broncos. 3-0 at home, won 8 straight home games dating back to last year. And 7 of those 8 have been by 8+ points. Bo Nix won 8 straight games at home. He's a better home quarterback. The Cowboys, listen, they beat the Jets, the Giants, and the Commanders, and Jaden Daniels wasn't healthy. They've been 1-3 on the road. They're not a great road team. And they have an atrocious third down defense that will keep the ball away from Dak. And they have an atrocious big play defense. So the Broncos are going to win time of possession. The Broncos, who really need to hit on big plays, have finally found a defense that surrenders big plays. So I like Denver to win, and I like Denver to cover the spread. 28-24, Broncos win. So in review, I like favorites this week. I generally don't love them. Favorite bet, Ravens -6 at home. Lamar returns. Patriots -7 at home. Cleveland, Dylan Gabriel will have to throw to win, and I don't see it. Take the over. Atlanta at home scores, and the Dolphins defense is a mess. Take the over. I'm going to take the Texans at home -1.5. It's my least favorite pick, but their defense is great, and the Niners have limitations offensively. And Denver at home to win and cover. I think that's a fun game. I think it's a great watch. But Denver, they are really, really seeking the big play, and this is the defense that does allow the big play, the Cowboys. Couldn't tell you the last time I took 3 favorites. Generally don't like doing that. It's a wonky week for numbers. Now, I did not take the Steelers because the number now is down to 3, not 3.5. So the hook was the key. The places I watched, it's down to 3. I think it's a really good game. And it's funny. Aaron's at home, facing the Packers again. And I was thinking about the memories of him in Green Bay. So he won 4 MVPs. He was not a great playoff quarterback, 11-10. Favre was also about 500. So was Jordan Love. So what I always think is interesting about Green Bay, do we remember it more fondly than reality? Because it was so aesthetically beautiful. I've said this. Dan Marino gets to a Super Bowl year 2, never gets back. But we remember Marino so fondly because it was such a beautiful, eye-pleasing style. Same with Aaron. Aaron's last 12 years in Green Bay. So he wins early in his career, and we think it's going to be a decade of dominance. His last 12 seasons after that in Green Bay, he was 7-9 in the playoffs and lost multiple times as a favorite. In fact, those 9 losses, his last 12 years in Green Bay, and I looked this up this morning, that was the most playoff losses by any team in that stretch. Right? So Mahomes has been to 5 Super Bowls and Manning to 4, and Brady was collecting rings. And those are peers, right? It's just funny. In Aaron, he replaces Favre, and we're like, oh my God, is he better than Favre? And my bet was, oh, absolutely. And they end up both to be honest with you, being pretty average in the playoffs, despite a well-run organization, good offensive lines. But Favre, one thing I'll back Aaron on, Aaron did not have a lot of great defenses in Green Bay. And then he goes to the Jets, and they fire Saleh, and that defense is no good. Then he goes to Tomlin in Pittsburgh, and that defense is no good. And the one thing Brady always had, really good defenses. And the one thing Mahomes has now, great defenses. So to defend Aaron is that you look at his playoff record and you're like, he wanted a great defense. Do you know the year he had a great defense? Was the year he won a Super Bowl. Rachel Nichols around the corner. It's the Herd.
All right, today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. They're a great partner. On Hard Rock Bet, you don't have to wait for week 8 to kick off to get in on the action. There's always something to bet on. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet yet, there's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets. If you win, just place a $5 bet. That's it, $5. If it hits, you not only get your winnings, but you get $150 in extra bonus bets. The NBA is back, which means it's time to shoot your shot on Hard Rock Bet. You're home for all the hoops action all season long. If you need a little help with your first bet, check out the streaks heating up inside the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. You can find live odds to bet on all of these streaks right in the Hard Rock Bet app. Download the Hard Rock Bet app today and make your first deposit.
So I'm watching the Chargers last night play the Vikings. And my takeaway by about the third quarter is they're actually opposites. The Chargers and the Vikings are opposites, and not just because they're in different conferences. The Chargers love their quarterback. All they hope is that his teammates around him can occasionally stay healthy, but they know he's the North Star. He's the franchise. He is the bedrock for 15 years. He is worshipped in the building. The Vikings love all their players around the quarterback, but have no idea who's going to lead them the next 10 years. They flirted with Aaron Rodgers. They settled for Carson Wentz. They had Daniel Jones in the building. They wanted to keep Darnold, but wouldn't pay for him. So whatever's happening with J.J. McCarthy, the messaging is weird, and he's never available. So quarterbacks stabilize a franchise. So last night, the Chargers finally get Joe Alt back. What a shocker. They can run on the left side. What a shocker. The blitz packages by the Vikings didn't work. So the Vikings love their coach and their defensive coordinator and their left tackle and their weapons. And the Vikings love everything around the quarterback. But the franchise it's not stabilized because they don't know what's going on with J.J. McCarthy. The Chargers are the opposite. They've got the most important part of this league. Quarterback 1, coach 2. And they're both going to be there for as long as they want to. Foreseeable future, decade if they want. Harbaugh may retire 8, 9. Jim's got great energy. They just can't keep anybody healthy for any extended period. So as I watched last night, 1,000 out of 1,000 times, I would take the Chargers situation. They're making Justin Herbert throw more than any quarterback in the league because that's what they have right now. And slowly but surely, Joe Alt came back and they were good. But the Chargers know the truth in this league is that Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl with a bad O-line. Justin Herbert doesn't need both tackles. He won't have Slater this year. Just give him Joe Alt, and they can blow out anybody at any time. And here is Jim Harbaugh after the win.
Joe makes a huge difference. He's a great player. And I would say, in his leadership, getting eight healthy guys out there is, been a challenge. And but I think we're going to be better for it. I know that because we're going to have guys that are battle tested.
Just to give you a sense, I've always said, once you get your head coach, quarterback's the most important person. Left tackle is next, then a pass rusher. Look at this. Joe Alt's impact on the Chargers. When he's on the field, they're 4-0 if he starts and finishes a game, and Herbert is a Pro Bowler. When he's not, Herbert is okay and throwing 55 times a game with a passer rating in the 80s. So quarterback, left tackle, somebody to rush the passer, and a weapon or two. It's just that the Chargers have struggled outside of the quarterback and the coach to have anybody available on Thursdays or Sundays or Mondays. They did last night, and look how easy it looks. So I always root for Justin Herbert because, whenever I hear this about a player, he's never won a playoff game. Well, Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl, and Charles Barkley didn't win a NBA Finals, and those are two of the best athletes I've ever seen. Matt Stafford had no playoff wins 12 years in Detroit, and Sean McVay, of all the quarterbacks in the league, said, I want that guy. I want him so much I'll pay his salary, and I'll pay Jared Goff's too. He'd never won a playoff game. Smart people can predict and project. Any dummy can say, well, that guy's good. He's got 4 rings. It's too late. The way to get value, the way to beat the market is to be ahead of the market. Sean McVay's like, I know he's never won a playoff game. I'm going to take him, pay for his salary and Goff's and trade him and give you a bunch of draft picks. It worked out. And so, you want to beat the market. You don't want to chase the market. And 99% of sports fans are chasing stuff or telling you the obvious. So every exec I've ever talked to, every coach I've ever talked to that I've ever asked about Justin Herbert, they're all like, he's like top 4 or 5 quarterback in the league. There are Sundays he's outside of Mahomes the best. Trevor Lawrence beat him in a playoff game. I've never talked to an exec that would take Trevor Lawrence over Justin Herbert. Never forget, Rex Grossman got to a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. So last year, Brock Purdy, as his team was all beat up physically, Brock Purdy went 6-9. Well, there was a lot of injuries, 6-9. And Brock is a good quarterback. This year, Herbert's 5-3 with similar issues. Nobody's healthy. That's a great quarterback. So, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, Brian Flores, is maybe the best defensive coordinator in the league and was sending blitz packages from the very first snap. And yet the Chargers never punted last night and were 9 for 13 on third down with only one of their tackles. So Justin Herbert against blitz packages last night was 13 of 15, 123.5 passer rating against blitz packages. So, and here's the thing about being able to see the truth before production is that Oklahoma City won the NBA championship. Do you really know why? Because their GM, Sam Presti, saw the greatness of SGA before the Clippers did. That's why. You're not winning that title without SGA. Sam Presti's like that skinny guy from Kentucky who may have been the second best guy in his college team. That is going to be a star. Sam Presti beat the market. Sam Presti didn't follow the market. If you follow the market, you never get value with anybody. Now, you don't get value in the end when you have to pay SGA. But if you want to get value on quarterbacks and left tackles and star players, you got to be ahead of the market, not trailing it and copying it. Right? You want to set the trend, not be part of the avalanche of the trend. And here's Harbaugh last night on Herbert's ability to beat the blitz over and over last night.
He was really doing a tremendous job seeing the field, and which he always does. I mean, it's so rare that he doesn't see it or read it or know the exact coverage and where to go with the ball, and then when it's all covered. I mean, he did another great job tonight, running and picking up first downs with his athleticism. He's just another stellar performance by Justin Herbert.
It's interesting. If you go back to the Clipper OKC trade, the Clippers saw what Paul George was. Good player. OKC Sam Presti saw what SGA could be. Who did better? One team now runs the league, at least for the last 12 months. So, it's easy to say, well, Somebody had to find Derek Jeter when he was skinny and couldn't hit the curve. That's what scouting's all about. It's about seeing stuff before it happens. And nobody's perfect on this stuff, and nobody expects you to be perfect. But, these people that are out there, well, he hasn't won a playoff game. Go look at his coaches before Harbaugh. I mean, just doesn't mean he was great in that playoff disaster last year, but he's a special kind of player. Blazing 5, top of the hour. Rachel Nichols next hour. Aaron Rodgers goes back. He gets to face the Packers. It'll be in Pittsburgh, which I think is a really interesting game. We can put the schedule up. I don't think it's a massive upset weekend. I like the favorites. It's as the season goes on, the weather gets worse. Sometimes I just lean on the best quarterback. Like, for instance, my guess is Josh Allen beats the Panthers and that Baker Mayfield, with an injury-ravaged team, beats the Saints. The tricky games are when you don't have your star quarterback. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts at home to beat Jackson Dart. It feels like a favorites weekend and a quarterback weekend because now you get to a point where everybody's got rosters that are incomplete. Everybody's injury ravaged, right? It's week 8, week 9, week 10, week 11. Then some of your stars get healthy again. In those injury ravaged weeks, star quarterbacks like Herbert are better than average quarterbacks like Carson Wentz, overcoming depleted rosters. So this weekend, there are a lot of depleted rosters. In most instances, I'm just going to take the better quarterback. I do think Aaron in Green Bay, I don't think it's hostile, but it is tasty. You like Green Bay in that one, J-Mac?
I want to take Green Bay. They've let me down. So the first 2 weeks of the season, they were lights out, remember? Beat Washington, beat Detroit handily, covered both. Everybody's been on Green Bay. I don't think they've covered a game since. And so I've been on a couple of those. So I'm a little reluctant, but you know what? I'm probably going to end up going in on the Packers. I just don't believe in the Steelers defense at all. And I think the Aaron Rodgers stuff is overblown against bad teams.
Something just popped into my head. We were talking about being able to see the greatness of Matt Stafford before he won a playoff game, or seeing the greatness of SGA. There's an old piece of video. The late Bobby Knight was asked about Michael Jordan. Remember this? Before he was in the NBA? And Bobby Knight said, he's the most competitive player I've ever seen. He is the best athlete I've ever seen play basketball. Bobby Knight, and I didn't love a lot of things that he represented. Bobby Knight came out and said, that is the best basketball player I've ever seen. His ability, his mobility, his passion, his relentlessness. Bobby Knight said, that is the best. He went third. Jordan went third. Right? Portland had Drexler, right? They went big. Hour 2 next.